Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, January 23rd edition, an introductory edition as we welcome for the first time to the show Sam Goldberg. Good morning, Sam. How are you?
It's a fantastic day to be on SW today. I can't complain
It's
because
always it's
if you
always a good day.
if you complain, there's not a whole lot of people that are gonna listen.
There shouldn't be. Plenty of complaints, though, in college basketball, which we're going to get to in one moment. But let's start with the SWFL as the conference championships fast approaching this weekend. But let's look ahead a touch in terms of the draft and who should be the first pick in a very wide open, very unknown draft. There's not really a definitive number one QB. The class itself is a little lackluster. Certainly, that will not prevent a team near the top of the draft in need of a quarterback taking one. So, in your opinion, Sam, who do you expect to see going number one overall? And I think it's worth including to what team?
So I'm glad you mentioned what team because Tennessee Titans they're gonna trade the first overall pick to the Raiders, and the Raiders are gonna draft Shador Sanders first overall. I think Shador
Okay.
Sanders is the best value quarterback in the draft. I just think he has better arm talent than Jaden Milroe and Cam Ward. I will give Cam Ward a little bit of the beneficiary of his dual threat ability to run, but I think Sanders' ability to command the pocket is just a little bit better. So I think the Raiders they trade up first overall pick and get their quarterback of the future, and it's bye Gardner Minshew.
Well, Gardner Minshew was never going to be despite all of my hopings that he could be a capable quarterback, was never going to be the quarterback of the future for the Las Vegas Raiders. That would be the most Raiders move if they were to do that. I don't like saying that can't happen because I don't know what idiocy is going on inside. I think the one roadblock to that potentially, because if you open up that door and you're the Raiders, and check me here, Antonio Pierce has not yet been fired. Am I correct? He is still the active head coach for the Raiders, correct?
No, he's gone.
He did get fired. Okay, thank you.
He
Then
did in
there's
fact
too many
he did in
firings.
fact get fired, which
So
is
then,
crazy.
yes.
Because
Well, no,
how in the
it's
world
really not.
well, that's a story for another day, but I mean, how do you expect to win with Gardner Minshew? An
Well,
8 and 0
this is just a football team that has been chaotic ever since it was in Oakland, and I apologize. Clearly, there's too many firings that I can't keep track of. But at the number one pick, it's a Raiders move. It's a Raiders move because what you would signal in that instance is that you're also going to hire Deion Sanders to be your head coach, and that would be a very Raiders move. I don't think it would be the right move. I don't think Sanders is a better quarterback than who's on the board. I think he's a very good quarterback. I personally like Cam Ward, but it would be a Raiders move. I think the challenge is going to be, what are you giving up to do that? Because if you are signaling that you're ready to move up to the first round pick, and I think would be a Raiders only issue, uh, is that you're saying we know what we have lined up, and the price just went up a heck of a lot if you're the Raiders to move up from where they currently sit, which is at what number? Geez, I'm crow 6, where you're going to have to make a big swing to get up to the number one pick. You're gonna have to also give up a little extra capital because you're also gonna be signifying that you wanna bring in Deion Sanders because that has been his entire goal. It's been his identity. It's why I never believed the hype around him potentially going to Dallas, which still could happen. But this is the guy that wants to coach his son. He has made that very clear. It's why he got in. He did not go to Jackson State because he wanted to coach Jackson State. He went to Jackson State so he could coach Shedeur Sanders. And Jackson State was willing to give him enough money to convince him to do that with the opportunity for him to also bring in his quarterback, who was what, 3-star recruit, 3 or 4-star recruit, was not really garnering Power 5 conference, Power 4 now offers. He went to Colorado because he could do the same thing. He's not sticking around Colorado, in my opinion. He is ready to move on to the next level. And if it's a Raiders position, that's the most on brand potential move that could happen. I don't think that that's the best quarterback. I do think Cam Ward's better, but I think at this point it's let's call it splitting of hairs between this quarterback class because it is really not that good, and that goes down the line to Will Howard, who looked better in the playoff, and down the line to Jalen Milroe, who you mentioned, who's just more of a running quarterback. it'll be interesting to see where those guys fall. All right, plenty of things that went off the rails last night in college basketball in the first night of conference play. We're talking about top 25 teams, multiple of them that went down. Ole Miss taking down number 11 Mississippi State. Number 2 Auburn going down. SMU, one top 25 team was going to lose regardless. They fall to number 13 Memphis. UNLV holds on for a win over number 22 Mexico, and Gonzaga gets smacked by Colorado State at number 17. So Hoopsteria started on January 23rd. Sam, your takeaways from what was a very active night in conference play.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I'm still speechless from how many upsets there were in our first night of conference play. I mean, this that's just college basketball. I mean, and that just goes to show you, come conference play, home court advantage means so much more in a non-conference play. I mean, Auburn wiped the floor with Alabama last night, and it wasn't even close. Colorado State did everything correct, did everything that they had to against Gonzaga, and then they pulled away at the very end. I mean, it was rowdy, and it was just so magical to watch college basketball and rivalries and conference play come to life on day one.
I don't think you're wrong, but I also think there's some wrong in the way that people are going to view this. They're going to look at this and say, see, top 25 teams, you can lose on any night. Look at all these ways they go down. If you look at every single one of them, I can give you a pretty good reason why it happened. Mississippi State, it's an unproven team. It's one of the teams that I was talking about with Rick earlier this week as being most interested in them in conference play. They go on the road and they lose to Ole Miss. We hadn't really seen them get tested extensively like we've seen some of the other top 25 teams, and that's why they lose. I'm saving Alabama for last. UNLV beats New Mexico. New Mexico has been trending downward over the last 2 weeks, and they got absolutely blasted by Michigan State earlier this week, and they looked consistently and similarly ineffective last night against UNLV. Gonzaga, they go down, who have also been a very inconsistent top 25 team, but these are also teams that have some brand recognition. In the case of New Mexico, it's brand recognition from a great season last year, so they're coming in kind of by default higher viewed than these other schools, or Gonzaga with a ton of brand recognition, but they've been incredibly inconsistent. Their record doesn't indicate they're any better than a USC, UCLA. By the way, those two teams play in the game of the week tonight. But they haven't looked any different than that, but they're Gonzaga. They're a team that we expected to be good. And it's why top 25 rankings before the season are so influential throughout the year until about this time, because you just are saying, well, that was a top 10 team to begin the year. So that must be a top 10 team. And
Yeah.
Gonzaga has not been a top 10 team. They've barely been a top 25 team. As it relates to Alabama and Auburn, though, I'm not overly concerned with that one. I don't read too into it because it's a rivalry game. It's an in-state game. And we all know anything can happen in a rivalry game. So I'm not ready to get my pitchforks out and say, wow, top 25, completely overrated. Because, by the way, 50 points from Kentucky, absolutely smacking in the second half. Missouri in that one. That one would have read as one that's a top 25 team goes down. But that's the type of teams that really we expected losses out of. It might not have been last night, so to speak. And Mississippi State is going to be the big one because they're number 11, but completely untested at this point in the regular season, Sam.
Yeah, and the UCLA USC game that's happening tonight, I'm on the call for. I mean, there's so much anticipation for these matchups in early stages of conference play, because realistically, what conference play states is who's going to start with the target on their backs, who's going to pick up that early statement win. And we saw a couple of statement wins yesterday. So I mean, it is just it's really speechless. It's leaving me
Yeah,
speechless. How many
Sam is
upsets?
speechless this morning. That
Yes.
is not easy to do. You speak about tonight. You're on the call. I mentioned it's the game of the week. It's the third of what is a massive triple header in SimWorld U. All of that on ESPN. Starts with Marquette, Villanova, Oklahoma, Texas, rivalry game again, USC, UCLA to close it out. So what are your expectations tonight, night 2, but really just another big night with those 3 games here on ESPN?
I'm really looking forward to that Oklahoma Texas matchup. I mean, this it's gonna be blow for blow. It's gonna be a 5-round championship fight. I mean, you're gonna see things that you didn't think you would expect to see on a basketball court in a game of this magnitude. I mean, this matchup between Oklahoma and Texas, it is a potential hoopsteria matchup. Like, and a lot of these conference matchups that you're seeing, UCLA, and USC. Like a lot of this is just early setup to what could be later on in the season. Insane games. I mean, and if you're not tuning in, you're missing out.
This is a must-win game for Oklahoma, and I know that seems a little dramatic for January 23rd, but this is a must-win game because one, it's a rivalry game. You've got a team that's coming. You're at home. It's Oklahoma at Texas, so you are coming into your building, or excuse me, you're going on the road to take on a team that's in the top five. So you have to play up to that level to go on the road and face a top 25 team. But you've also lost 5 straight games. And you want to talk about a team that was ranked in the top 10 preseason. Oklahoma was. And they quickly found out, and we did, and they did, that this is not a top 10 team. This is not a top 10 team. This is not a top 25 team. They're 5-11, and their season is cratering out of control. So this is a absolutely must-win game for Oklahoma because they have to find some reason to say we can continue the rest of the way. We can be a relevant team for the next couple of months. You say this is a hoopsteria matchup. It's not if Oklahoma plays like they did over the first 16 games where they were abysmal. It's not it's not a hoopsteria matchup if it's the team that played for the last 5 games because they have not won any of them. You have to go get a rivalry game. And this is as tough of an environment as you're going to do it.
Yeah.
On the road for a team that's been sitting around for a month and a half, that has a potential lottery pick next season, probably a top 10 pick, if not higher than that, in Arthur Lattimore, who could be the freshman player of the year. He is that talented, and you've got to go in, and you've got your talented freshman of your own in Suno Chapa. This is must win for Oklahoma tonight. The other ones, Marquette, you need a statement game as you go up against Villanova. You want to get a big win. Villanova's coming off a little bit of a rest. USC, UCLA, certainly a lot of rivalry matches. But of the broadcasted ones, it's must-win territory for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Oklahoma, they absolutely need a victory and they're going into a tough environment at Texas. I mean, they say everything's bigger in Texas, and atmospheres and crowds are most certainly bigger in Texas. So Oklahoma, they're going to have their work cut out for them. Are they up to the task? Absolutely. Is this going to be a instant classic on ESPN? Absolutely. Grab your popcorn, grab your drink.
Instant classic, Sam, for a team that's 5-11 seems like it's going to be. We better hope it is. Oklahoma better hope it is. But a team that's 5-11 and 0-5 in their last 5 games, instant classic seems like they might be instant classically rerouted out of the building in the first half.
Conference play is just different, man.
The same way.
Conference play.
They better hope it is. They better hope it is. All right, we had a full slate in action last night as we kicked off conference play. So let's roll the tape and get to our SimWorld U wrap up right now. We'll start in Florida, where Florida, Georgia went at it on the hard court, and the Gators come away with a 63-61 win in this one. Royce Anderson, 20 points for the Bulldogs. Tyshawn Issa matches that 20-7 for the Gators as Florida moves again above 500. Head out to Harvard, where Jackson State came in and they stomped the Crimson. They have not been having a good run of it there in Cambridge. D. Woodley, a double-double, 22-13. Roy Mason, a double-double, 19-12 in the win. Texas A&M and LSU, how about a little SEC action for you? And it's Texas A&M getting the home one, 78-67. Ronnie Shanahan with 23-9 for the Aggies. On the road, Akeem Young, 16 for LSU. Tennessee and South Carolina up next, and that is the Volunteers not getting it done at home. South Carolina walks out with a 73-69 win, 22-12-5 from Keandre Baldridge and the Gamecocks as they try to make their case to get back into the top 25. Quiet night from Trey Turner, 5 of 16. Missouri and Kentucky, we talked about 53 points in the second half for Kentucky as they rally back and win it 82-52, 22 apiece from Glory Tate and Jameson Johnson. Japheth Towns with 17 points on 7 of 10 shooting for the Tigers. Mississippi State heads to Ole Miss, 72-68 loss as the Rebels get the win at home. 17 points from Darwin Cohen, enough as the are not enough as Ole Miss's Buggy Fruge leads the way with 20. Some overrated chance there from the Ole Miss faithful. Memphis gets the home game, and they get the home win over SMU, 84-63, the number 13th ranked team in the country. Laced Darius Outlaw 20 points in the first half and 16 from Darion Banks in the second. Boise State at home, recently good vibes for the Broncos. No longer. Aztecs win at 79-77. Jude Platts 23-9 for San Diego State. New Mexico Lobos in action. We talked about this one briefly. UNLV, Nat Hawkins cooks in this one, 71-61 wins, 27-11, and Jarrell Beauchamp adds 20 for the running Rebels in a big win on the road to kick off Mountain West play. Colorado State will skip because we talked, so it's Nevada and St. Mary. St. Mary's on the road against the Wolfpack, 78-70 win. Terrell Coulter leading the Gales with 17 points. Marcellus Blow leading all scores, however, with 20. All right, that's our show. Again, the game of the week coming at you tonight, 9:30. Battle in Los Angeles, USC, UCLA, Gabe Pope, Jalen Snow, all of that coming to you at 9:30 as we cap off a triple header on ESPN. Marquette, Villanova, Oklahoma, Texas. All that action starts at 6:30 Eastern. All right, that's our show. We're back tomorrow morning. B-Ron will be holding down the host sheet. Sam, as always, appreciate you coming on for the first time. We've said that to you off air, but glad you could make the debut here on a Thursday. We're coming back tomorrow morning here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.